Yep.
We're almost live. Hold on.
Okay.
I just have to make sure that I can chat in the chat box and then you're good to go.
Okay.
Dan, can you tell me who all's there?
Yes, we have Mike and Bob remotely. As you can see, Lee and Larry are here, and Rick and Mark are here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think I don't think anyone else is coming, so.
Terry's not going to make it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Are we ready?
We're almost there, Mike.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We should have an agenda up there. There you go.
Excellent. Mike, you want to call it to order?
Yeah, I will call to order at 1:32, the Brownfield Development Authority. And let me see, my agenda went away, but Larry is here.
Yep.
Lee?
Here.
Let's see, Bob?
I'm here.
And I'm here. Terry is not. And I think that's
All
it.
right. So there's the quorum. The next item, Mike, if you don't mind, we'll just run
Just
through
go
this.
ahead. Somebody make a motion for the minutes.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes of the meeting of March 12th, 2020, that you can remember.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor, say A.
Actually,
Aye.
I have to do a roll call vote.
Roll call.
Oh, it's a roll call vote. Okay.
Yes. Freeling is absent. Harrison?
Yes.
Klett?
Here, yes, aye.
Majerick?
Yes.
Van Genoven?
Aye.
You have 4 yeas.
Okay. And then any correspondence?
No correspondence, no official correspondence, no.
That's been a long time with no correspondence. All right, any public comments?
So we will pause for one moment while I go out and check for public comments.
Okay.
You're on YouTube Live.
Oh.
Oh, there it is.
Other than Eric Lester saying thank you for making this meeting available, we do not have any other public comments.
Okay.
Right, and then Dan will go over the budget, financial
Okay.
statements first.
All right, the first item we're going to look at is the balance sheet, the financial statements for the Brownfield Authority, and that, I think you have that one.
You want the September balance sheet?
Yeah, I think we have them out of order, but can you pull up the September balance sheet?
Yeah, we gotta try that in just 1 second. Gotta
Okay.
get back to the other screen. I got all kinds of screens going on here. September balance sheet, there we go. And up.
Okay.
Okay.
A little tough to see, but I'll read through it for everyone. As of today, we have $706,429 in cash as our only asset. We have received $211,000 from the city of Benton Harbor as the first summer TIF payment on Harbor Shores, which is earlier, I think, than we ever got from Benton Harbor. So it's nice to see that they're getting this stuff done rather quickly. As far as liabilities, we have no liabilities. As you remember, we paid off all of our debts a year or two ago. So our fund balance stands at $706,429, which is pretty healthy right now. Now, again, I always caution you, keep in mind that some of the cash that we hold right now, that is reflected in the fund balance, will be going out the door when we make our TIF payments next year. So we kind of get we get the TIF payments in a rolling fashion, and then we pay them out the following tax year. So of the 706,000, about 200 of that is pre-collected TIF that will pay out in March, April of next year. Nevertheless, you know, the best estimate is we still are sitting around a $500,000 unreserved, unallocated fund balance. So we're in very good shape financially. We have, unless there are any questions about that?
Nope.
Okay. We have a series of bills that we have paid since our last meeting, and we're asking for ratification of those. And I'll wait to see if.
That one, I don't think I didn't get up here before you started.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. I think Jennifer sent it out in an email, I believe.
Yeah, well, I'll just read through them, okay? We have all of Riemann Robson's audit services that we have to pay. They bill us on 4 installments monthly, beginning in April and finishing in late June is when we get the last bill. So we have a $1,362 bill.
I'm sorry.
It's all
Turn
right.
that baby off, I didn't do it. Okay, it's off, sorry.
Okay, so the first bill was for $1,362. The second bill to Riemann Robson was $1,362. The third bill to Riemann Robson, $1,362, pardon me. And the final installment, which is $414, and that covers all of the audit for last year. In addition to that, we did pay out the Harbor Shores TIF collection, I think in March. As I recall, there was some discussion about just having us pay that administratively in the expectation that we weren't going to be meeting very frequently in the coming months. So we did make that payment to Harbor Shores, and we're asking it now be ratified. That payment worked out to be $1,242,605.35, which is a pretty, you know, a nice $100,000 increase or so over the last year's TIF payment. So the total bills that we have paid and are asking for ratification for the total is $1,247,105.35.
It is helpful also if you're making a motion, identify who you are so that they can make sure we have it in the minutes correctly, and those who are watching on YouTube, then they know.
I make a motion, I'm Larry Cletton, I make a motion that we approve the budget, or the bills that have to be paid.
This is Lee Vankenhoven. I second that motion.
Is there any discussion? Any questions? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Roll call.
Mike, why don't we do this by roll call?
Forget that.
Jennifer, you want to do the roll call?
Freeling,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Klett,
Yes,
Majerick,
Yes,
Vankenhoven.
Yes.
You have 5 yeas.
Thank you. So the real reason we had to bring you guys in here today, other than the fact that we haven't seen each other for 6 months, is to look at the proposed 2021 budget for the Brownfield Authority. I sent these out by email a little bit earlier. I apologize for the delay in getting them to you, but I wanted to go through these numbers with you. They are very simple and almost identical to what we had last year. We're not expecting any changes. Now, the caveat is if we have new projects or programs that are coming up, obviously there'll be adjustments in the budget, but as it stands right now, these budgets just cover the basic operation fund and then the various TIF funds for ongoing projects. We are expecting next year $7,500 in administrative fee revenue, general administrative fee revenue, $500 in interest, and $6,000 in rental income, and that's for Dock 63. As you recall, they pay us $500 a month to rent our portion of Dock 63 down in the St. Joe Harbor. The 7,500 is the administrative money we make off of the current Brownfield plans that we're administering, and the 500 is just interest on the checking account. It looks like it'll be considerably more this year, but who knows with interest rates where it'll be next year. This is just a guess. On the expense side, we're looking at $4,400 in our audit services, and the rest of our revenue, general revenue, we're going to stick in the bank and it'll be part of our fund balance. So we're expecting $9,600 increase in our fund balance over next year. This is again assuming that we have no projects that we have to prepay any costs on. So that's a relatively simple budget. It's almost identical to the one we adopted for 2020. For Harbor Shores, we're expecting TIF revenue of $1,300,000, and that's based on the current assessments that we're seeing. It might come in slightly higher than that, but it'll be right around $1,300,000, we think. 7,500 of that we keep as our administrative revenue. It's the number I just told you about in the general budget. And the remainder of it will be paid out to Harbor Shores, which is $1,292,500 as an estimate. That's what we think we're going to be at. Eastgate Shopping, down in Mike Majerik's district, it is generating some tax increment revenue right now. A lot of it is tax exempt, but there is some revenue being generated, and we think it's going to be about $3,200 next year will be the maximum amount generated. That's another one of the, this is an in and out process. The money will come in and then we'll make the distribution to the developers to repay their costs. Not a lot of revenue, considering that I think the plan originally was approved for well over $300,000 or $400,000 if I remember correctly. But they're entitled to it, so we'll make the distribution to them as soon as the money comes in. And the final budget is for the Denoyer Brownfield plan. We're estimating potentially $3,000 in TIF revenue. That's the old hotel over on M139 and I-94 interchange that was demolished. Yeah, it was demolished a few years back. You remember Denoyer Auto Group was planning on building a new auto sales facility there, and they have not followed through on that. So they bore the cost of the demolition, they bore the cost of the environmental cleanup. They're entitled to, I think, somewhere around $300,000 of reimbursement. But because they've done no development on the site, the only amount of revenue that's being generated is just the inflationary value of the land that's increased a little bit over the last 2 years. I did see, interestingly, that that site is now under contract with a realtor, and Denoyer is trying to sell it. So we shall see what happens. Right now, it's just not generating much money. So in any event, those are the budgets we're looking at last year or next year. Relatively, relatively small budgets in our operations of what, $14,000, and then a large chunk of it is Harbor Shores. Beyond that, we don't have any programs that are planned right now that we would need to adopt a budget for. Any questions?
Well, you answered a lot.
This is Lee Van Genhoven. I move that we accept the budget as reviewed by Dan.
This is Commissioner Freeling. I would support that.
Is there any discussion?
Dan, this is Lee again. Are any of the items that you sent out on your July 7th update, so what we would do if some of those things came through, like the national standard plan, the project we can't talk about, those kinds of things, we would go back and adjust the budget?
Well, what we would do is we wouldn't adjust any of these budgets. We'd create a new fund for that project, and then we would adopt a brand new budget for that fund.
Okay.
All of these budgets are different. Well, we use different terminology now. We call them orgs, or organizations within a fund. So we would technically create what finance calls a new org for that new project, and then that budget would be its own budget. So it wouldn't affect these numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Ready for roll call?
Yeah, let's do a roll call.
Freeling,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Klett,
Yes.
Majerek,
Yes.
Van Kenhoven.
Yes.
You have 5 yeas.
Okay. I have a couple miscellaneous items that I think are probably worth mentioning. The first is, maybe we could have handled this under correspondence, Mike, but I did receive an inquiry from the MEDC a month ago. They are being independently audited right now on all of the state brownfield projects that they have helped authorize over the last 10 years. And surprisingly, the Harbor Shores project came up as part of the audit. And auditors had a number of questions about the project, principally why it wasn't generating the kind of tax income or revenue that was originally estimated back in 2005 when we started the project. So I did give a written response to the auditors, and the explanation is quite simple. The construction of the project really didn't begin until about 2007 and 2008. We had the financial crisis, the collapse of the commercial and industrial and residential real estate market. It took years to recover from that. So the project is essentially about 6 to 7 years behind where we originally thought we would be. But the good news is it's generating, 1.3 million in TIF, and that number continues to grow every year. So we're confident that the developer is going to get most of their money back. The second reason that I explained is that a number of property owners in the Harbor Shores development have successfully appealed their tax assessments over the last few years, and that has reduced the amount of tax increment revenue available. So I sent the response off to the state auditors, and they seem satisfied with that. I think it was just more of a question of, what's happened with the timing of this project. Another update on Harbor Shores. I haven't confirmed this directly, but I have been told that the Harbor Village portion of the development, the new development down by the hotel, they have now, I believe they have reservations on almost every development lot on that site. And if you drive down there, you'll see that new foundations are being poured for a condominium unit that's going in right along the marina. So everything kind of got delayed this summer, not just on that project, but on a number of projects throughout the area. But I expect by spring, you're going to see a pretty good uptick in activity down on that site. The other one that I can give you a brief update on is the Berrien Hills Golf Course project, the one that was, was publicly presented to St. Joe Township last February, I think it was. We have continued to work with the developer on that, and by we I mean our staff here at the county, Cornerstone Alliance, and some engineers that are working on this project had a nice meeting with the State Land Bank a month ago to discuss whether or not there could be a potential partnership between the private developer, the State Land Bank Authority, and the Berrien County Brownfield Authority. And I think that we have made the proposal to the developer that is the most suitable way to structure this plan. Have the State Land Bank be a partner with the private developer, thereby making the property eligible for certain tax increment financing incentives, and then contract with Berrien County Brownfield Authority to administer that brownfield plan and tax increment plan. We've run some calculated numbers on that, or some calculations on that, sent it off to the developer for their review. We'd be looking at a plan whose value maybe was around $10.5 to $11 million in potential tax increment revenue. So we're waiting to hear back on that, and if they choose to move forward, we'll bring it here for a full review and a full vetting by this board. There's still movement or discussion of the national standard project that I talked to you, or I emailed you about. We haven't heard much back from the parties involved in that, but not much of a surprise. Everything's been moving very, very slowly over the last few months. But I know that the parties that are looking into that site continue to negotiate with the owner of it to determine how they can develop the site consistent with some of the deed restrictions that exist on the property. And I think that's about all I have to say on ongoing projects. There may be some announcements coming up in the next 6 weeks on a handful of other projects, but those aren't those aren't ready for public disclosure or discussion.
I'm a whirlpool. Down. Is that one of them?
That's one of the projects that is
Okay.
not ready for public
All
discussion.
right,
yet.
gotcha.
You
But it's
mentioned,
yours.
Yeah.
Dan, you
Mike?
mentioned last meeting, the intersection of M63 and Enterprise Way. Is that,
Yes. Yes, that project is moving forward. I just had a discussion with Mark Seaman about that yesterday, in fact. The Benton Township has given zoning approval for the development and site plan approval for the development. It was likely, back in March, we anticipated that it was gonna be under construction within 2 or 3 months. Again, everything kind of slowed down. But I did talk to Mark Seaman yesterday, and the developer is still interested in moving forward with the project. And they may start sometime this fall or next spring. Prism is working on the proposed Brownfield plan for this project, as I recall.
I believe so, yep.
Yeah, so if we may see something here sometime this fall. The last time I looked at it, Mike, I think that we were anticipating a plan that would have eligible costs of maybe $600,000 to $700,000 was my recollection.
Mhm.
So not a huge plan, but a sizable enough one, and we may see that again sometime this fall.
okay. Anything else from anybody on miscellaneous? Anybody got any great ideas to throw out? And because we haven't met in 6 months, but anything? No? Okay, are we then adjourned?
I make a motion
Thank
that
you
we
all for
adjourn.
coming.
Oh,
That's Larry Clinton, I'll make the motion.
Oh, yeah, with promotion. Second?
This is Lee, I'll second it.
Okay.
Ready for
Any
roll?
discussion? Roll call.
Everybody stay safe, please.
Hold on, Larry, we have to do a roll call.
yep, I have.
Freeling,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Platt,
Yes,
Majeret,
Yes.
Vangenoven.
Yes.
We have 5 yeas to adjourn at 1:54.
Thank you all.
Thank
See
you, everyone.
maybe next month.